Welcome to another wonderful episode of Joy and Gratitude. And today we are so lucky. We have an incredible leader that is joining us today. Um, you know, we try to make this something that's relatable to everyone. And one of the things that, um, as both Beth and I come from corporate, we understand that a lot of you are dealing with change and are dealing with creating and innovation. So we have the wonderful opportunity to have with us Naama Zalzman. And let me just tell you a little bit about her. In 2019, she was named Israel's Forbes 30 under 30 as one of the few that get on that list. She is a dynamic business psychology and cross cultural management leader that has worked with venture capitalists, PwC, and 150 tech companies. But more importantly, she takes the coaching of leaders and makes them connect. And I'm just going to let her explain what she does, what her magic is, and then we'll get into our conversation. Naama?
Thank you, and Beth, for having me. I feel it's such a good energy. We didn't even start. So thank you so much for having me. I feel that I do something that is very basic. I mean, I wish we wouldn't need to do our job, right? I wish it was it was already exist. But what I do is that I just help global companies, global teams to lead and manage better, like to improve the way they communicate with each other and just create a more positive culture. So this is what I usually do. Am I
You
doing
know,
good?
you make it sound simple, but in this world right now, when everybody is so terrified of AI,
Mhm.
and we have lost a lot of our communication skills because of the pandemic, and all of a sudden we lost connection. You know, everybody's living either in a little box or on their phone, or on TikTok, Facebook, and those type of social media. You've been able to take companies that are all over the world and connect them. Could you explain the strategy? How do you take a person from digital to human connection?
Wow, such a big question. It's even a bit philosophical, right? Because there is a notion that AI is here and they're going to fire everyone, but it's not true. It can happen every time that we have like a new technology and we're being adaptive as human beings. And I think that even more AI, again, we're going to use lots of AI, that's for sure. But we cannot replace this type of communication because at the end of the day we're social creatures. We need it, we crave it. Once we don't have it, we feel lonely. So there is no AI tool in the world that could solve a trust problem, a feedback problem, a communication breakdown that we have in different teams with different teams. There is no way it could work like that. And therefore I do feel that we may going to see smaller teams that are going to run fast. That's we can happen. We can see more flat organizations. We can definitely can see that, but nothing can replace this type of communication. If you want to be more productive, more happier, um, and succeed in especially around the innovation. So I do think that communication skills is one of the greatest skills that we have as leaders and as human beings, and then we all we're going to invest in it more and more and more because again we build a strategy. AI can help us to execute, but it starts between us as human beings.
I love that. Hi, everyone. It's Beth. I know usually I introduce myself, so just I'm coming in late to the game, but so excited to be here with Neo and Naama. And I just couldn't help but chime right in because that is my nature. But when you talk about communication, so one of the things that we talk about leaders a lot, and we always clarify. So I'm going to do it again because we can all hear things like 350 times and it still takes a while to sink in. But I want to make sure that our listeners realize that we see all of ourselves as leaders. Like we are all fundamentally leaders of self. So whether we're talking about a corporate setting or we're talking about somebody who's never been in corporate, who has a totally different life experience, I think fundamentally all of the things that we're talking about go to self leadership and how we choose to lead ourselves in the world that we're facing. And in some ways, corporate feels like a macro representation of what's happening to us on a micro level, right? And I love that we can use it because I often say, like, some of the leaders that we're helping to develop bring whatever the skills are home. We know that, right? So whatever beautiful skills they're learning, they're just humans. So if they're getting developed in a beautiful way by their corporations who are supporting them to do some of these communications, collaboration, connection skills, they come home and show up differently. Best case scenario, not always, but hopefully they're taking that tool and that learning and bringing it wherever they go, with their friends, in their community, at home. So can you talk a little bit more about, because I feel like communication is such a big word and sometimes people are like, what does that really mean? So can we just spend a little time breaking down sort of what you mean when we talk about the importance of communication, like specifically help our listeners kind of understand what that big bucket looks like when you talk about it?
Of course. So first, just to comment about what you said, lots of important things, and I think that at the end of the day, even though you're not managing anyone, you are a leader, because leadership, it's not a job title, it's a decision. So once you decide to be a proactive leader and be responsible to yourself, to your actions, to everything you do in your personal and both in your professional life, so it's part of the game, right? So it is changing everything. Communication is big, so let's try to break it down just a bit. So there is an interesting paradox around communication, because we know that we are different people in the sense that we have different personality types, we come from different cultures if you work in a global team, but still we tend to communicate, most of us, not everyone. Maybe some of our listeners are perfect people, maybe there is a good blend, I don't know, but we have a tendency to communicate with others in a way that is more intuitive for us, But the thing is that if we're not being adaptive leaders, there is no way we can maximize our ability to succeed, but also our teams and our company chances to succeed in a way. And therefore we need to be more intentional, because I'm not saying what I want to say because I want to say it, right? Because I want the message to be received. So when I say communication, lots of the challenges that we can see can happen because of that, because I'm not, every single thing that I'm going to say in one culture is going to perceive in the same way. I can be clear and concise, but other cultures could sound like maybe disrespectful or vague. Or when I communicate with other people that are different than me, maybe they could think that I'm not being an effective communicator because I'm not being adaptive enough and tuned to that. So lots of the clashes you're going to feel could happen because these two layers, because we don't do enough, we don't do good enough job in understanding them and break them down. So going back to Nia's question, what I do, I hear the problems and then I can recognize the patterns. I can say, okay, it's because you have a team very diverse, maybe from cultural perspective, maybe because you're different people. Let's try to break it down. Let's help you to identify your own communication and work style and also others, and write a playbook that can serve you in a way that will help you to execute better. So it will help you to identify the conflicts before they arise. And if we have a conflict, we know how to overcome it, because in most cases it's not personal. Sometimes it is, let's be honest. We all work with this asshole person. It can happen. I'm not like, we don't live in a perfect world. But in most cases it will sit on that, and we don't get up in the morning and say, oh, she come across as short because she's coming from a certain culture. We don't think about that. So
I have to, what you just said is so powerful about being intentional. We were talking, so I'll throw in a personal thing. Over the weekend was my grandson's birthday. He just turned 7. Yay.
Yay,
And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. But we were talking around the table and we were talking about how children have to be intentional about who they speak to and how they speak to with the person they're speaking to. And his mother brought up that one day he tried to use bruh, the yo, bruh. And, and she says, "You don't bruh me. I'm your mom. I'm mommy, you know." And that's Nana. And you speak to Nana very different than you speak to me. And that is exactly the way we do it in business. The way we speak to our team is that, you know, we're influencing, we're motivating, we're guiding. And then when we speak in the boardroom, we speak differently. And when we're speaking to a client that maybe is of a different culture, again, we morph and we speak differently. So, what that all comes down to, in my opinion, is respect. Is putting respect and intentionality forward.
I agree. And you know what? It reminds me that there is such a gap between being a kid and being an adult. Because as kids, people, often our parents, and by the way, I've also, I'm a mother to a 3.5 years old boy, and Adam, and I give him instructions like do that, do that, don't say that, how to say, what to say, when to say, and so on. But when we become adults, like when we're 18, that's it.
Mhm.
And people usually give us feedback, but sometimes they don't.
That's right.
Nobody gives you instructions or feedback like your parents, basically, and it's hard. So it's our own responsibility to be more, mindful and intuitive, and do things from, with them, and be more, attuned, and be more attentive to it as well. So you're right.
Yeah, I have two things that I'm like, oh, yes, this idea around, I guess two things come to mind. The feedback piece, which you mentioned, like we go into the workforce or into life after being 18, let's just say adulthood to keep it broad. And yeah, feedback becomes something that again can be done so poorly and forever impact the receiver of that. And yet feedback done well is like the definition of growth mindset, right? Which we talk a lot about. And so this idea of feedback being a gift, and I have to say that all the time to people that I'm working with, like feedback is a gift. So rather than get defensive, right? And there's this idea of creating like a shield, so that when feedback is coming, you have like the shield that goes up, and you get to like have that feedback hit that shield, and you get to decide like what of that feedback, is there enough of that same feedback that I go, oh, this is something I should really consider. Or like you said, is that one, excuse the language, but like asshole outlier where that's actually just like not true. Nobody else has said it. It's really not something I'm going to hold on to and try to learn from and grow from. So I think you're right. There is this incredible opportunity for all of us to learn how to give feedback and receive feedback. And you actually need to kind of practice and be intentional and attentive to both of those. Like, how do you give feedback in a way that it can be received and heard? And how do you receive it in a way that you actually take the information and can grow and learn from it? So I love that we're talking about feedback as a huge mechanism for each of us to develop as humans and show up as the humans that we want to be. And the other piece that I have to say as a mother of older children, I think most of my listeners know that I have a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old, both girls. And we've used the word adaptive quite a bit. And I feel like that is also the case. So if you think about parenting young children, they need you. There's a need-based, like you must provide them instruction to keep them safe. Right? That is a very different role than once they are adults. And then what they need from you is very different. And I think one of my biggest learnings has been to be adaptive and realize that my children are not me. Just what you said. They don't have my personality. So my achievership, my perfectionism, my planning, the way I like to manage myself, my need for control, all of that is not who they are. That's not their personality. So honestly, families are little microcosms of workspaces
That's right.
where I have two children who are totally different. They, in and of themselves, are totally different. We know this. Siblings are always different, right? So I actually have to adapt and shift and change. One, how I used to, like how I parent now, I need to change. That's no longer effective. Telling my kids what to do as adults is not going to get them to do what I want them to do. I have to adapt how I share with them or what I request of them or how I get them to think about something. That's very different. And I do need to take into account that they're different humans and they're going to act differently, and that's okay. They don't have to abide by my like rule plan, my playbook of life. So I love that idea, because as I was listening to you, I'm literally living this, where I have to pause and go, to be the parent I want to be, I need to use that information. I need to realize they are in a different life stage. I need to realize they are different humans. And then I need to prepare how I will have that conversation, just like you would in a work environment where
Mhm.
somebody was acting a certain way. So I think we just had that perfect moment of applicability to life. Like what we're taking is so applicable. So I
True.
love what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like we have a bunch of automatic behaviors,
Yes.
and it's like we need to stop. This is why I love the fact that you talk a lot, both of you, about awareness, about the fact that we need to increase the level of consciousness and awareness, because I need to be aware of that. Because once my son, even one of my employees, how easy it is, and I guess you both manage, lots of people. People come to you with a problem, and you become an ATM of answers, right? Because let's be honest, first it's the quickest. It's probably you have the answer, and second, for them it's been addictive because you're faster than Google in most cases. So, but we need to stop ourselves, and it's hard, even with my and I don't like when we compare parenthood to leadership, because I feel that we work with an adult, but still sometimes it's like you said, we need to stop and ask, okay, what do you want? You want an advice? You want to brainstorm? You want to, what do you want? You need me to listen? You want me to what do you need? It's not easy.
Yes.
That is the most powerful thing for any parent, leader, person, is ask, what do you need? Because reality, you're right. I know I do it all the time. I am an ATM of answers. And it, you know what? You end up not giving yourself boundaries, because then you're like, my God, can't they make a decision on their own? Well, you taught them not to.
Exactly.
You
What
taught
do you
them not
say?
to. So don't
Yes.
don't blame them. You did this. So you have to stop and recognize your actions. And then you have to just say, well, how do I change this? I change it by being curious. Ask them, do you need someone to listen? Do you need help finding the answer? Do you need someone to guide you where you should go to get the answer? Do you, every different methodology that you just stated is so powerful for our listeners, because what we try to do is let everyone find their path to unravel themselves. And that is so powerful, to actually enter into a communication asking, how can I help? What do you need?
What do you need? What's the
What?
conditions that you need in order to succeed?
Yeah.
And no one asks those questions. They come to you because there is a problem with the performance, there is a problem with the delegation, which I hear quite a lot. Because let's be honest, no one get up in the morning and say, "Oh, I have a communication problem." No, they have a problem with the performance. I delegate things. People don't do what I told them to do. What happens? And then when you like try to dig in, you're like, "Yeah," because every time they come to you, like, you're not raising proactive leaders, you're just telling them what to do. So how do you expect for to get a different outcome? So don't tell them the answer. Ask them even before, what do you need? What did you try? Maybe let's do, oh, I sent an email, maybe it's not enough, send a Slack message. And if it's not going to work, we can talk about it, but at least push, like with kids, right? We want to have independent kids at the end of the day, because it's hard to say, we always talk about the role that we have as parents. And at the end of the day, it's hard to say, we don't want to imagine it, but one day we're not going to be here. They need to be independent. They need to know what to do. And great managers are managers that their team, or leaders that their team know exactly what they need to do when they're on vacation. It's not
Yes.
So you want to have a proactive team. This is the foundations that you need to have, at least that. So I definitely agree with what you both just said.
That's actually powerful, because when I hear leaders say, or even parents, or even just individuals in life say, I can't go on vacation because how's everything going to run? How's the house going to run? Oh, I can't go on that trip with the girls because, John's not going to be able to make dinner. John knows what DoorDash looks like. You know,
Sure.
no offense. He really does. And he knows how to make a sandwich. So you don't have to, we make ourselves indispensable, and then we wonder why we can't maneuver things, and why we can't do the external things we want to do. And reality is, the best leader is the one that can go on vacation and doesn't get the phone call. That's really a powerful leader, because people feel empowered to make decisions in your absence. And they know they're not going to get affected in a negative way. That's the other thing. We got to make the decision that failure is okay, even with our family, that it's okay. That's how we learn. That's how we get better.
True. Because you
It's
trust
true.
them.
Yes, and so you guys have there's been such beautiful. I'm like, oh, so this idea of I believe that people really, when they are ATMing, when they are telling you what the answer is, like, they're doing it with good intention, positive intent to help. And that's why I'm like, I want everyone to stop and I want people to listen. You have to realize that your intention may be to get the quickest answer, to have them move forward, to have them succeed. But you are creating a disservice to them because of what Neo just said, which is empowerment can only happen when you make someone feel trusted, that they will be okay while you're on vacation. So there's this circle that gets broken. I honestly believe, like, not intentionally so. Like, every parent, every worker, they're like, I'm helping look at them, I'm managing them, I'm helping them do what they need. But this is where I do think there's this big check that we all need to give ourselves to go, wait, is that the best long-term solution? If my goal is for my child to be independent, for my teammate to be able to cover anybody on vacation, for, like, if you really outline some of that, and that's what I love, is this idea of how do we really look at what the end game is, and then realize our role. We talk a lot about, go right back to self-leadership. What is our role in enabling, facilitating that to happen? Or what is our role in preventing it? Like, how are we creating a barrier to that, actually the result we want actually not happening? And I agree with you. And it's very topical, this idea of that belief, like, I'm helping my kids by doing XYZ, I'm helping my teammate by doing Y. When really, if we pause, power of pause, we talk about it a lot. Is it? Because maybe they don't actually think you believe in them. Maybe they don't actually feel empowered because you never give them the chance to fail. You never allow them to go do it. So they feel like, actually, that person doesn't trust me because they didn't say, just go. You can do this, try that, and let me know how it goes. And, you're there to support. You're always going to be like, it's always important. Trust, having someone's back, excuse me. And being there regardless, that fear of failure, like you mentioned, Neo, like being there. But I do think there's a disservice that is very real when we don't allow people to go out and to try and to fail, but also to accomplish. And what it feels like when they get to do it and they did it well and they succeeded, then you have that momentum and the motivation. And all of a sudden you get to see those people step up and level into a new role, become, better at something. So yeah, I love this idea. I do think this helper syndrome, I just made that up. That's what I'll call it. But this is that what it's called? I don't know. The helper syndrome, where you
We're going to
think you're
own
a
it.
helper. Yeah. I'm
We're
like,
owning helper syndrome.
I mean, the helper syndrome is not where it's just not what the name sounds like. It's like, nope, that's not really what it is. But I guess it's like, yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say, if you
Go
think
ahead,
it,
go ahead.
I was
No,
gonna say, if you think it, you're like, I have the helper syndrome. That's the moment you self check and go, oh, let me see, where am I truly in service, and where am I actually doing it because it feels good, doing it because it's easier. We listed some of the very easy reasons why helper syndrome can happen. But I think we owe it to ourselves and to the people we care about, the people on our teams, everybody that we kind of interact with, to make sure we are in service from in a way that serves them best, truthfully.
I agree. I agree. It's not easy. We're not saying there is a magic,
No, no.
but in that sense, I think even way before people talk to a coach or bring another workshop, they can do simpler exercise with themselves. They can sit down, pick three values they want to see. What are the even your values? It can be a big word. What are the three behaviors, practical behaviors you want to see in your team? If one of them is that I want people to be more independent, I want people to be more innovative, and be like I want a team of entrepreneurs. Great. Then switch, for example, and list all the different behaviors that you see, the things that could work better, or the things that you don't like, and try to match. If I care about that, I can be I can give them all the answers, or I need them give them the conditions they need in order to succeed. And then we can see kind of like a mirror if we helping it to happen, if we can make it happen or not, or just hurting ourselves, not because we don't. Again, it comes from a good intention, like you said, but the reality is a bit different sometimes.
You started off with trust as being the key for culture, harmony in the
Mhm.
workforce, and even growth. What would be your message for someone that understands that they should do this exercise of the three things? But what's the message that you give your clients and you would like to give as a empowerment to our audience?
Mhm. There is a basic principle that I feel that we don't talk about. um, I feel the first thing you need to feel is that you appreciate the people you work with. You need to love your team. Doesn't mean that you need to be best friends or be in love with them. No, but you need to like them. Because if you don't appreciate them, you don't think they're good enough, they're smart enough, they're capable enough, there is nothing you can do that can help. So hire people that you care about, hire people you want to work with. That's like the first principle, because I think it's around, according to research, 90% of our communication is nonverbal, meaning that if I don't like someone, it could maybe I don't say anything, but it could come across, he could feel it, he could sense it based on my intonation or behavior and facial expressions and so on. So if people, and we know it from the 60s already, if people get a sense that we don't believe in them, they're not going to succeed. Do you remember the famous, there is a famous research that was done, I think it was Professor Rosenthal, he's a psychologist. Have you heard about that?
I think I heard.
I hope it's his name. I'm not
Yeah,
getting,
it's
I'll check
Rosenthal.
it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But he did an experiment with rats. He took a group
Yeah.
of rats, he divided them
Yes,
into two groups. It
yes.
was like it was very, how do you say, um, organically. And he told to his students that one of the groups is a smarter rats than the rest. And he asked them to train the rats to find a piece of
Hmm.
cheese or something. And they saw that the more successful, the smarter rats succeeded way better than the rest of the rats. But genetically, they were the same. They took the same experiment to schools. They checked it also in the workplace and even between doctors and patients, and they saw the same results. When we believe in someone, or at least the person
Mm.
believed that this person or rat is, they're special, the results are going to, we're going to see different results. So I think this is the basic, like one of the most basic, things. You can't expect people to go the extra mile, to be an amazing ambassadors, to talk about their development, to get up every morning with, highly motivated, if you don't appreciate them. So in terms of trust, first we need to feel it, and second we need to be consistent, meaning that we need to practice what we preach. If I care about timing, it means that I need to follow my, behaviors or norms that I've just set in the, if I said that we're going to start on time, we need to start on time. If I say that I ask my team don't send emails on weekends because I care about your well-being, and I do that, what's the message I'm like passing to them? If I tell to my team that I care about them, but every time I have one-on-one meetings, I keep pushing it because let's be honest, it's the easiest things we can. Oh, there is something important. Oh, if not, okay, let's move it in a few days. Let's happen. From operational perspective, it's the easiest thing. But what's the message I pass to my team? That I couldn't. That there are everything else that's happening right now is the most important thing that besides them, even though it wasn't my intention. I just want to get a job done. So if you choose to be a leader, and I say leader, not manager, because like we said before, it's a decision. It's not a job title. You have it's part of the responsibilities. So I would start with these two basic layers. Above that, everything is a bonus. But these two conditions needs to happen, right? Be consistent and believe in and appreciate your people.
And I just have to plug in because of gratitude and appreciation can kind of overlap. That ideally, I know you mentioned, hire people that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Many people obviously are inserted into a pre-existing team and there might not be so much flexibility. So I just wanted to do a little add-on that says, if you are in a team and you don't have the ability to hire all the people that you love and you have to be adaptive, which was one of the first things we talked about, then you can always find something that you appreciate or are grateful about a leader. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that, there may be someone that inherently you're not immediately connected to. And we know connection can have a lot to do with energy. It can have a lot to do with trust. But typically, you can always find something that you appreciate in someone. And I do that a lot in workshops, right? We say, please tell me something that you appreciate about this coworker. We stand there and somebody has like 3 different people have to say different things. So I do think that I love this idea that as a leader, we are choosing how we lead. It's a choice to be responsible. And part of that is to, even if somebody rubs you the wrong way or there's something that they do that's maybe impacting your trust, that we then have to go figure that out. Is it the inconsistency? Is it reliability? Are they not authentic, right? There's different variables to trust that we can look at. And how can I, with that, while I'm figuring that piece out, which is my work to do, what do I really appreciate about them? What is it that I am grateful for that I can lean on while I'm figuring out how to continue to work with them, or what moves I need to make to better understand, how I can talk to them about some of the other things. I love that idea of finding something, because there's always something. Humans have something that you can appreciate or be grateful for.
I agree.
Yeah.
This is so true. And when, I do lots of feedback workshops, and you always have someone that would say something like, but what if I don't have anything good to say? So I'm like, so basically the problem is not with them, it's with you.
Right.
So
yes,
let's take it offline. If no one is good enough, so if nothing is good enough, okay, let's I think it's on other things as well. So to your point, it's extremely important, and we can all find one thing. And we know that the more we focus our attention to certain things, it's like when you're pregnant, suddenly you see lots of pregnant, women. So on the street, you want to buy a red car, suddenly every second car you see are red, right?
Yes.
We know it's science. It's not, Bethany or Naama is saying that. It's science-based. So the more we will look, we can look for the good stuff, we're going to see more of them. And people are doing an amazing stuff every day. We just need to open our eyes, but really open our eyes and just see it. And people don't need to bring you to the moon in order for you to be, to say a good word. And I think it's extremely important. Recognition and appreciation that's the fuel.
It is totally the
It is the
fuel of
fuel.
empowering your team, empowering your children, your family. We spend and we have been indoctrinated to look for the mistake and to look for the things that are wrong. We spend 80% of our time with the problem children. And I mean that at work, I mean that in life. And 20% of the time do we spend with the ones that are the high achievers. Reality, everybody has the potential to be a high achiever. We're just not looking at their values, what the value is that they're bringing to the table that is positive. So, looking at the appreciation equation, now we have flipped the switch and we're saying we're going to appreciate everybody for the value they bring and the value of who they are as a human being and elevate that and diminish the negative. That is, thank you for sharing such a powerful message with our audience and with us because we are just sponges in flow and we are really appreciative of it. But now we're at the point that I need to ask you, what is your song that carries in your heart that you want to share with us?
Wow. There is a song every time I need to change my energy
Mm-hmm.
with it, which is like, it's such a cliche. It's a Walking on Sunshine.
I love that song.
I know, I love it.
I love that song.
Fun song. I just love it. So,
That's amazing.
so this is one of them. There are a bunch of this is definitely on my top of my playlist.
And it's so appropriate because it's about trust and it's about appreciating that sun and the energy the sun gives us. Let's look at the gratitude rock that goes along with this session.
Okay, Naama, it's time. All right, let's see what is coming for you today. I follow the energy, so apparently you want me to search a little more.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, so this is the sort of chocolate brown glass for my listeners that can't see. And the word is easeful.
Easeful.
Easeful. What does that bring up for you? What comes to mind with the word
Your last
easeful?
session and your last episode as well, right?
Oh, it
No.
was it?
I think so.
Yeah.
It might have been. Yes,
It
because
might have
I quite love this word. So I love that you're getting it because I am so curious as to what is coming up for you with this word.
Easeful. It's like when I feel more relaxed or more like laid back in a way.
Yeah.
Like when you're walking on sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
It does
You know,
align with you.
when I listen to my intuition and I'm more in line with it, this is where I feel it the most.
Yes.
And I definitely need to do it more. I just read about the science behind it, but it's just pretty true. Second brain and everything, our guts. But when I do that and I truly connect to myself, this is where I definitely feel it. It's not easy, but trying to do my best. When do you feel it? When you see this word, what does it mean for you?
I love what you just said. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
No,
Okay.
no,
I was just,
I'm
I just
basking
love
in the moment.
So was I. We both were like breathing. I don't know if everyone could hear Neo and I going, but I think the idea you beautifully captured alignment of intuition and action equaling easefulness. I had not heard that before, and I think my moment of pause was, and I love that you acknowledge that that's actually not easy, which is funny, part of the word. It's not easy to know what your intuition is and then take action aligned with it. But I agree with you that I really do feel like a sense of relief and a sense of why I sighed, if people could hear my literal sigh, of like I can breathe and I can feel connected to myself if those things are together and happening at once. And you're right, that in and of itself is more easeful because I'm not pushing against what the external world is telling me and what my intuition wants. And so I think that's the most broad and beautiful definition. People always ask me for help in this word and what it means. And interestingly, I might have to share your definition. Everyone can make it their own, but your definition is really encompasses, I think, the most beautiful acknowledgement of what a lot of us live through, which is this pulse and push of external expectation and a landscape that's telling us one thing when our intuition tells us something else. And to live by our intuition is one of the most easeful, beautiful things. So that is, I'm still like so touched by that beautiful
Thank you for
definition.
bringing it in. I never thought about it before. And, we talk a lot about resilience, but this is resilience. We need to understand, like, we have an inner scale. There is the demand we're facing and our resources. And the more I do the balance, I'm resilient, right? All good. But when I become overwhelmed, resilience drops, motivated phase, trust cracks. So we need to be mindful to the resources that we have. And the intuition is such a powerful tool. And this morning, I got a chance to say no to two projects that I got, and it was so hard. But last night, after talking to Ron, I realized that I need to prioritize. And if it didn't feel like, I think it was Greg McEwen that said, if it's not hell yeah, then no.
Yes.
So I think it's part of it.
Yes.
This is why.
I love it.
Wow. This is such a beautiful way to end our session because we really are flowing with intuition and action, which is what actually being your authentic self truly means. And thank you for joining us. Naama, you have blown our mind multiple times through this session, and you have given all of us a moment to find our ease. And thank you so much.